Deep in the frozen north, the Snow Queen keeps Kay imprisoned with his heart turned to ice. She makes him forget his home and his dear friend Gerda. But Gerda has not forgotten Kay, and she bravely sets out to find him. Retold by Naomi Lewis, this classic story is given a new magic by Errol Le Cain's spellbinding illustrations. I'm going to be honest, I've been feeling more than a bit overwhelmed at the thought of making another video. The idea of sitting down to record something, then spending several days arduously editing the same recording to make it presentable, putting images together to help illustrate the theme of a review, and then completing all the various mundane administrative obligations that YouTube requires, thumbnails, tags, descriptions, and so on, just felt exhausting. So much so that I've been numbed into inactivity. This isn't the first time I've been overwhelmed by both the process and the prospect of uploading new videos. Early in the existence of this channel, I was so defeated by the experience that I stopped uploading videos for 3 months, and at the time, I had no plans to ever return to the channel. To try and break the spell of this inactivity, or this anxiety of making and uploading another video, I thought I'd try to make a short, hopefully simple video to talk about and share a comparatively rare book that I received as a Christmas present. Hans Christian Andersen's The Snow Queen, adapted by Naomi Lewis and illustrated by Errol Le Cain. This seems a significant book in the context of attempting to overcome some personal struggle, or of being confined to a state, either physical or psychological, that seems hopeless or suffocating, as the story itself is about these same themes. Here little Kay finds himself imprisoned in the ice palace of the vengeful Snow Queen. Forever frozen in his own state of captivity, he is saved by the selflessness and self-sacrifice of his friend Gerda, whose restless efforts to liberate her incarcerated friend provides an example of pure good-heartedness, which in turn combats the tyranny of the Snow Queen's dark elemental forces. I'm not suggesting that the Snow Queen is a metaphor for mental illness, or the struggles many of us face in terms of neurodiversity. The original story by Hans Christian Andersen is open to many interpretations. However, one aspect of the original story, one omitted from Lewis's adaptation, refers to mirrors and the distortion of the self by nefarious forces that cloud our capacity to properly judge our own abilities and self-worth. In Andersen's original story, the devil, in the form of a troll, has made a magic mirror that distorts the appearance of everything that it reflects. The mirror does not reflect the good and beautiful aspects of people and things, but magnifies their bad and ugly aspects. The troll's minions take the mirror all over the world to distort everything, then carry it up to heaven to mock God and the angels. As they approach heaven, the mirror trembles and falls, shattering into billions of pieces. Some become window panes, some spectacles, and some get stuck in people's hearts and eyes, giving them a cold and bitter disposition. The very thought of being left bitter and defeated is no doubt familiar to anyone who has suffered a crisis of mental health, or to those of us who struggle to cope with the often overwhelming obligations of life due to fatigue, autism, and ADHD, and viewed through a lens of my own current feelings of despondency, or my lack of enthusiasm or self-belief, I found this aspect of the book and this adaptation of it comforting, even uplifting. The image of Kay, exiled in the frozen palace, captured for me the feeling of being frozen by fear and anxiety, or of being frozen by the unending chatter of those intrusive thoughts and voices that obscure our ability to judge our own self-worth or sense of self, and that block out any sense of hope, the way clouds block out the sun. In one passage, Lewis writes, "But where was little Kay all this time? He was in the great cold palace. The walls were of driven snow, the doors were of cutting wind. The snow had formed into more than 100 enormous halls. All were vast, empty, glittering, and icy cold. The largest was many miles long. In the midst of it was a frozen lake, and there the Snow Queen liked to sit when she was at home. Little Kay was blue with cold, yet he did not feel it, for the Snow Queen's kisses had turned his heart into a lump of ice. He was alone in one of the great empty halls, playing with pieces of ice and making them into patterns. The Snow Queen had said to him, "If you can make the pieces of ice spell the word eternity, I shall set you free and give you the whole world as well as a new pair of skates." Then she flew off to lay some snow on the high peaks of Etna and Vesuvius. But try as he would, Kay could not make the word. And that was how Gerda came upon him at last as she wandered through the palace. She flung her arms around his neck and cried out, "Kay, I have found you after all." But Kay sat there quite still, stiff and cold. Then Gerda wept hot tears, and they pierced right through to his heart and melted the ice. As much as the image of Kay imprisoned and defeated, frozen by forces outside of his own control, resonated with me on a personal and emotional level, so too did the efforts of Gerda to save her ailing friend. The commitment and sacrifices of the brave young girl bring her into the company of characters who reveal themselves to be good and righteous in their intentions, becoming like a guiding light through the darkness. A reminder that good people exist, and with it that reassuring fairy tale belief that kindness can overcome all. I hugely enjoyed this book. Errol Le Cain is an illustrator I'm especially drawn to. His style of illustration combines elements of medieval art, Dutch and Flemish Renaissance painters like Hieronymus Bosch and Bruegel the Elder, as well as the traditional art of European and Asian folklore, and even the Art Nouveau. In the book in question, the combination of influences results in a style that is rich in atmosphere, highly expressive, exquisite in its level of detail, and genuinely transporting, conjuring an ornate world for the reader which complements the great storytelling of Lewis's text. The world of the Snow Queen is one that feels both grounded in the sense that it draws on very real fears and threats, but is also charged with something genuinely supernatural, a sense that the world, nature, the elements, everything, has a level of enchantment to it. There is an innocence, even naivety to Le Cain's pictures, and this helps to define the story's theme of appearances, and how we should never judge a person's intentions on appearances alone, as well as the sense that this is a story that is filtered through the perceptions of children, who transform the world through a combination of imagination and superstition. Lewis, in her adaptation, simplifies much of Andersen's original story, putting less emphasis on the elements of myth and folklore, such as devils, trolls and magic mirrors, and instead creates a more focused, sometimes more germane study on friendship, altruism, and the inherent dangers that children face. This might disappoint some fans and admirers of the original story, but I think Lewis's take on the material stands as an interesting adaptation, and presents a different lens through which we can enjoy and also engage with Andersen's original tale. Lewis's version allows the reader to contrast the stranger danger aspect of the Snow Queen herself with the otherwise goodness of the supporting characters Gerda meets as part of her journey to save Kai, giving the story a definite and clear moral centre, one that feels remarkably grounded. As I bring to an end this discussion on the Snow Queen, I want to say a hearty thank you to anyone who has taken the time to watch this video, and to anyone who has subscribed, liked or commented. If you have any thoughts on the book or the original story, or if you have any thoughts on any of the topics or themes discussed as part of this review, then do let me know in the comments. Thanks again for watching.